Hello everyone, John Koul again from Koul Racing Transmissions. Thanks for checking in. Today we're going to be talking about our transmission coolers and our transmission cooler installation kit. Do you have a cooler on your transmission?
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
So we sell B&M transmission coolers. I've been using them for years. They work great. And our kit, the installation kit, which I'm going to talk about, is for the B&M transmission coolers. This one here is the super cooler that requires AN fittings and braided line. You can get these to run rubber line if you're putting a cooler on and you already have steel lines, the factory steel lines in your car. We offer that, and then we also have the one with the fan. The only time you really need one with the fan is if you cannot mount the cooler in the front of the radiator. So this one here, I feel works just great. They're the same ones I have on all my vehicles, and at the end of the video, I'll go out and show you how I mounted them on two of my vehicles that are here in the shop. We'll go in the back of the shop and we'll take a look at that, but let's open these babies up. We'll start with the cooler. It's a nice piece from B&M. They're listed on our website. This is the super cooler that requires AN fittings. I'll take these little caps off. They just look like tape to show you the inside there where the fittings go. They have on each side a series of holes with a flat stock here where you can make brackets if you want to mount this a certain way. I recommend that you put it in front of the radiator or your AC condenser, and you want to keep this a good 2 inches away from the radiator, just so you have a little air so it's not dissipating the heat to the cooler or to your AC. So this is the cooler, and let's show you the installation kit. I just whipped up an installation kit. I've been selling them for years. They consist of 20 feet of -6 braided line. Now you can get the old school steel braided line, or you can get the new cloth style. It's not braided. It is braided. It's cloth braided, but it still has some steel on the inside. It's just not as much as this. The kits do vary in difference in price. The cloth is a little bit more. So you can get the kit for your 727-904 in either cloth, black, or regular old braided steel, depending on which one you want. Also, if you're a 46RE and those cooling lines normally were 3/8, I have an installation kit for that. It's still going to run the -6 line, but the two fittings that go in the transmission case are a little bit these are 1/8 pipe, national pipe thread, the ones that go into the 46RE or quarter. So that's really the only difference between the kits. So in the kit, you're going to get 20 feet of hose. You will get two fittings that go inside the transmission cooler. I'm sorry, you get two fittings that go in the transmission case. You're going to take the brass ones out and put these in. And just in case you wondered, not that it makes any difference, but the front cooling line is the pressure side, and the rear cooling line is the return. And it does not make any difference of which way you put the lines on, as long as one in the front goes to the cooler and one in the back goes to the back of the transmission. It makes no difference. But I have a lot of people ask me which one's which. So you know, the front cooling line on all torque flights is the pressure side. So what you get with the kit, The coolers are sold individually. So if you want a cooler with the installation kit, you have to purchase both of them. You can get the cooler separately, or you can get the installation kit separately. So the cooler, or the cooler installation kit, consists of 2 adapter fittings, -6, that go into the cooler, 2 fittings that go into the transmission case. You get 2 hose ends that are straight, and then you get 2 hose ends that are 90 degree. Depending on how you want to put it, I usually put one 90 degree fitting and one straight on the transmission, and one 90 degree and one straight on the cooler, depending on how it is. So like, let's say this is mounted in the radiator, and you should always, even though this is national pipe thread, this is aluminum and this is aluminum, and anytime you thread aluminum into aluminum, it's always good to put a little anti-seize on here, in case you ever want to take it out, because sometimes they can go up. So the 2 fittings, depending on where the cooler is mounted in your car, a lot of times the cooling lines will come up this way. You can either put both 90s on the cooler, and help if I put that on right, like this, or what I usually do is put one 90 and one straight, depending how the cooling lines are going. And then I like to use one of the 90s on the front cooling line of the transmission. But there is no rhyme or wrong. It's whatever you want to do to your car. That would just be fine. So you can do it any way you want. I also, not included in the cooler kit, I have these separators. This one's a little bit loose for this. It gives it a nice clean look. I always put these on mine, and I only have black ones on there now, but when you're doing your lines, it's going to look real nice and clean when you have the separators, and then you can have, depending how many you want of them, going all the way down the length of between the trans and radiator, so you have the cleanness look when you get the line separators. Those are on the website too, and they're 4-6 line. So I'm also not only going to show you about the coolers, I'm going to show you how to do put in an AN fitting on the line. I know a lot of people might be a little bit nervous about that or haven't done it. Most race car guys have. Some of you street guys may have not. So I'm going to put one in here for you and show you how I do it. But you need a tool for it. I remember putting braided line together when I was younger, for my Cornet, when I was first putting the car together. I almost dreaded doing braided line. The line was poking your finger. You couldn't get the line inside of the union of the fitting, and it was just, I hated doing it. But now that I got Koul tools, and they didn't give me nothing, this is not a sponsor. I don't even sell this. You have to go to Jegs or Summit to get this. It's called Koul Tool, KOULTOOLS. This part number is 468 because it works on -4, -6, and -8. And it is an excellent tool. I love doing braided line now, doing kits, making coolers. I like doing, for the dump systems that we have, I'm always making line, and it's such a pleasure to do that now. So I'm going to reposition the camera so you can get a close-up look of how this is done. All right, here's the Koul tool. Comes in a nice little plastic carrying case, and inside you're going to have -4, -6, and dash 8. And the bigger the line that you do, the easier these tools work. And so we're going to do dash 6 because that's what we're doing here. And so we're going to take this one tool out. I'll show it to you. It's just a plastic piece. It cuts in half, and what you do is you put your fitting in there, you put the two halves together, and you push the hose together. It's gonna, I'm gonna show you how to do it. It's really easy. A lot of times it would help if you take this and you clamp it in your vise, so you have two hands to push the hose in. But I've done this for so long, I don't need to get up to go to the vise. But a third hand might help you if you want to use a vise. I do know. They supply you with some washers, and I think I've lost them, and now I just got other ones. I'm going to show you how you have to use these washers. So we're going to take a dash 6 fitting. We're going to unscrew the union. Now this works. It doesn't matter if it's a straight fitting or if it's 90-degree fitting. It all works the same here. So you're going to take the fitting. And you can see that this is like a funnel right here. And you're going to put the fitting in the tool. And this is real important that you use the two washers that they give you. Or sometimes one, sometimes none. But you want this fitting to sit in the tool with no slop. So right now, it's really sloppy because once this tool moves back, the braided line, if you got it flared, if there's a lot of ends sticking out, or even if you don't, it gets compressed and it has to go in this end. So when you put the washers in there, like so, and it keeps this tight, that it really makes all the difference in the world. It works really good that way. So I recommend that you put the washers in there like so. Then you just put the tool together, both halves like so. You take your line as I twist one way and twist the other, and just push it in. Whoop. This is where the vise sometimes might come into play. And then you push it in. And then I always do, I still got some anti-seize on there. As I take a gander, I take a look inside and see how far in the hose is. And I see that I still have to go in a little bit more. So now that I got the hose in there, I don't need to put the washers in there, and just push a little more and twist at the same time. I'm gonna try to do this where I stay in the camera. Here again, it'll be easier if you use the vise. I'm not gonna move everything. So I can see inside here. You guys probably won't. But the end of the hose is just down below the threads. These are the threads. It's just down below that. So when this starts to screw in there, the hose goes here and it opens up. I also recommend that you put some anti-seize or some kind of a oil on here, because aluminum with aluminum likes to gull up. So if you ever want to take the fittings apart or change the line for whatever reason, you can put this together and then take them apart. I really recommend that you put a little lube. I like using anti-seize, but you can use just a regular oil on there. So you put the fitting in there. You're going to be able to screw it on with your hand for a little bit. I'm going to use my wrenches. you just turn it. I usually don't go all the way down. I gotta go more. I always leave a little bit of a gap. What? Sorry about that. I always leave a little bit of a gap here. I don't know why. I just keep it uniform. It's less than the thickness of this shim. It's just so the two ain't touching. It doesn't matter if they do touch. You can go all the way in. But at this point, that is compressing that hose. And then you can go ahead and thread this on to the transmission fitting or the cooler line fitting. So the hose really makes, the Koul tool makes a huge difference on how these hoses go together. And it'll make a guy who's never done it, it'll make your plumbing when you're doing lines and fuel lines or transmission lines or whatever, it'll make you look like a pro. It really is a great tool. Again, I ain't making nothing off of this. They didn't give me nothing. I actually physically paid for these tools, and you can see by how dirty the box is that I've had it for quite some time. You put this in there. You can get these at Jegs or at Summit. They're 75 bucks for the 3. They also offer not Koul tool, but they also offer vise inserts that allow you to clamp your fitting. So if you didn't want to use the 2 wrenches like I did, you can put this part in the vise and then turn it around this way to put your hoses together. As far as cutting hoses are concerned, you just need a cutoff wheel. I cut this one off. I ran out of electrical tape, and I used green tape, which, because I'm blind as Mr. Magoo, the green tape helps me see a little bit better, and I always cut right down in the middle. I cut one here. You just wrap the tape around where you want it to make your slice. Put it in the vise, and what I do is I just pull a little bit of a tension, like just pull it just a little bit, and then make a nice, slow, clean cut. So the cleaner the cut that you make, the easier the Koul tool will work. So what we'll do now, I will put the tool away, and then we're gonna run out to the shop to look at Mr. Haney, show you how I did the cooler on that truck, and then we're gonna step outside to my dually. I'm gonna show you how the cooler turned out on that truck, and so let's go do that. This is my 05 Ram. I've had this truck for a long time. I really like it. And it's raining out. Let's pop the hood. Now this cooler I'm showing you, I don't use anymore because it wasn't enough for this truck. But I'm going to show you how I mounted it. As you see, I don't have the lines in there no more. And even though I was preaching to you guys that you had to be far away, there was just, between the air conditioning, the intercooler, there was just no room to put that cooler anywhere else but there. So I just made a bracket, went against some existing brackets. I put some rubber there so it wouldn't touch. But it wasn't enough. It did not keep the transmission cool. It actually still overheated. Because this was a stick shift truck. So that means there was no heat exchanger. There's no cooler in the radiator. It was just this when I converted it over to an automatic. So I'll show you what I did. I went with a Disraeli cooler. And then I got a switch inside the truck to turn the fan on when I want it. This cooler works kick ass. Dash 8 line going from the transmission to back here. I also have a transmission gauge in the truck. There's the switch. There she is. That's with the fan on. It's like having a little mini radiator. With the diesel, you have to have more cooling than just the B&M cooler. All right, let's go in the shop and I'll show you the cooler and Mr. Haney. A lot warmer in here. I gotta get a light. All right, there's the B&M cooler on Mr. Haney. On this one I used a 45 and a 90. I just made up some brackets out of some aluminum stock to put it in there, and it works real good. There's those separators I'm talking about. I also, what I did on this, not only did I use these to make the truck look clean, I went and got longer screws, so not only does it separate the lines, it holds them in place. I drilled holes in the fender wall, or in the tubs. What is it called? Inner fender wells, to make sure those stay in place, and I just run them nice and clean all the way down to the transmission. I always come up over here instead of running them underneath where they normally go from the factory, just so the header, the cooling lines are not by the headers. You run them up on the firewall, towards the firewall by the master, come along the fender, then here, and you can do the same thing on a B-body or whatever kind of Mopar you have. I also just got done doing the fuel system on this. I did add all in dash 6 line. I'm not done with it yet. I just fired it up. But I used the Koul tool for all this stuff here too. I went with a Holly pump. That's the fuel regulator and return, so there's a return line. And I just got it alligator clipped right now. I just put it together to make sure all the wires correct. But yeah, the Koul tool worked excellent for that too. So I don't want you guys to be afraid to do your own braided line. It really is easy. Take your time, get yourself a Koul tool, go to Jegs to get that. It would be the best $75 you spent on the tool in a long time. I keep everything in stock, the coolers, the installation kits. If you need any extra braided line or fittings, I also got that too, but I usually don't put that on the website. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope you learned something from it. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Mopar to ya.